Xbox momentum is continuing to increase. Yesterday, we talked about Game Pass. Game Pass is getting better. Xbox is getting better seemingly as these months go on. As we get closer to ending out this year, we still have a bunch of games to come with Indiana Jones, Microsoft Flight Simulator. You have Stalker 2 dropping in just a couple of weeks. So it's going to be a phenomenal end of the year. Now with the ABK acquisition in full force and it's closed, we can expect more games dropping into the service like we did yesterday with Spyro the Reignited trilogy, which I think got a lot of people excited. Yes, it's older. Yes, this trilogy has been out for a while, but it is a phenomenal compilation of games, and they did a really good job of remaking them. So a lot of people were excited when that announcement did happen, and I think we're going to continue to see that going forward into next year. Just more ABK games coming in to keep up the momentum and the excitement for Xbox Game Pass. But besides Game Pass and getting all the first party content, we've seen Xbox, I think, very confident in the last week with showing off the 15-minute trailer of Indiana Jones, which is coming out in December from Machine Games. I'm pretty excited for it because I do really enjoy the Wolfenstein series and what Machine Games has done in the past. However, after watching the trailer, although still excited, I think it's going to be an interesting one to track in terms of the reception of it, because I feel like there is going to be some divide on this game based off of the gameplay. It's probably not as high action as maybe some people were expecting, but I think it looks pretty cool. I mean, the whip combat, the hand-to-hand combat looks awesome. The gunplay looked okay, but I don't think that's going to be a focal point for the game itself. But then you have the whole world that they're building, the puzzles, and the atmosphere, which just looks absolutely phenomenal. So that'll be an interesting one to see the reception of it when it does drop. I'm excited to play it right when it does come out in December. And then yesterday, we also got South of Midnight. We got a 30-minute or so documentary on the game and some previews for it. The game looks absolutely phenomenal. So they're continuing to bring out content. They're continuing to talk about all the games, which is nice to see them, I think, confident in the content and the games that they are creating that they think people will enjoy. So South of Midnight from Compulsion Games, a massive game for them. They haven't really hit too much on their previous games, and I think this is the one that they need to hit with to instill that confidence that this is a major studio for Xbox that can do great things. But here is what we did see. Here is the quick rundown of the South of Midnight previews. Game looks phenomenal. Third-person action-adventure game with some of the coolest aesthetic and graphics that I've seen in a game, with this whole stop-motion animation style. I mean, you can see it in the video here, just how amazing this is. I really hope that this lands in your hands and feels good, because it looks great on these videos and watching it looks awesome, but it's going to be a different story when you play it and feel it, if it does feel as good as it looks. I really hope that hits. Hope there's no performance issues, because that will take away just from the great aesthetic. They are aiming for 60 frames per second on this game. It says here that it is an Unreal Engine 4 targeting 60 FPS on Xbox. Of course, coming in 2025, Game Pass, Xbox Series X, S, and PC. So an exclusive to Xbox, to the Xbox ecosystem, for anybody out there wondering if this is coming to PlayStation. Hey, it may in the future, but right now this is exclusive to Xbox, and we've seen no signs of them announcing it for PlayStation. So they're still not hybrid strategy. Some games are going, some games aren't. I mean, Indiana Jones is going to PlayStation. That's the Bethesda game. That's an IP that was in development before the acquisition, so that probably plays into that. But from their first party content that isn't Bethesda or ABK, right now this looks like it is staying only on Xbox. But other than that, the atmosphere looks really cool, set in the American South. Comparisons to Kenna Bridge of Spirits. I believe they're saying it's about a 15 to 20 hour game. And one of the things they talked about in the documentary was just getting the setting correct and getting the folklore correct in that area of the world, in the American South, in the time period and everything. And I think it looks like, from what we are seeing here, somebody who doesn't really know too much about that, but just from the way it looks like it's going to be something very, very cool to explore. They say face off against mythic creatures from southern folklore who control each region. The main character is Hazel, who is a weaver. They say here uses magic white threads to control the world around her, and you jump, dodge, grapple, and glide and everything, and it's just third-person action combat. So go check out the documentary. The game looks very, very good. But this is where we are right now when it comes to their game releases. Indiana Jones, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Stalker 2, and then I'm guessing early 2025 is South of Midnight, because they're already putting out those previews. So the next couple of months, next few months going into early 2025 is absolutely stacked from a first party perspective. And I think Xbox is definitely getting their momentum. You also look at what happened with Call of Duty. We do have a bit more news on Call of Duty and just how big it truly is. In fact, Matt Piscatella here posted this, saying that Call of Duty engagement following the release of Black Ops 6 can only be defined by the term bonkers. He said, we've yet to see anything like it in our engagement tracking data. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 sales, excluding subs and add-on content, are also doing very well. More on that next Friday. So next Friday from Circana, from Matt Piscatella, we will be getting a deeper look into exactly how good Call of Duty has done, which is obviously one of the things that Xbox was banking on when putting it into Xbox Game Pass, increasing that overall engagement. And it's the metric that Xbox has always used over the last number of years here. Throughout this generation, you can say maybe it's a cop-out. Some people, fanboys, will say it's a cop-out. The console workers will say it's a cop-out, but they don't look at the console sales sold. They're looking at the active users, the engagement of games, the amount of players within a game to determine whether that game was successful or not. I mean, Call of Duty is always going to be successful, but it looks like the engagement is going to be higher than we've ever seen. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the entire thing that's happened with Black Ops 6. The game itself, I believe it's a 4-year development cycle, so they had a lot of time to make it great. The putting it into Xbox Game Pass, the discussion around it when they announced it was going to Game Pass, that created a lot of hype and everything. So all of that, I think, plays into how well Call of Duty is doing. And we also have something that happened as well last week, which was Death Stranding dropping on to Xbox with the Decima engine, which apparently was only going to be able to be used on PlayStation, but obviously now it is on Xbox. So that is adding some more momentum to them as well. And in fact, when people always talk about the Xbox Series S holding back the generation, I think it's kind of an absurd discussion, because in reality, if you look at the history of the Xbox Series S since it's been released, there have been far more good cases of games running well on it for the price of the console for what it is intended to be, which is not a 4K device, not a high-end device. You're not looking for the best looking games on it. You're just looking to get good performance, be able to play the AAA games for a cheap cost. And I think the Series S has absolutely done that throughout these first 4 years. And in fact, when it comes to Death Stranding as well is doing very good on the Xbox Series S with the Decima engine on the Xbox ecosystem. It says here, this is via Digital Foundry, that the Xbox Series S is absolutely fascinating. It's an accomplished part that scales very, very well indeed to the junior console. The quality mode doesn't resolve as much detail, and from the resolution metrics, we can see why. It's using a dynamic resolution scaling range between 900 and 1080p. What's quite remarkable here is that the drop to pixel count for the 4 teraflop machine results in output frame rate that's faster than the quality mode equivalents on the Series X and the PlayStation 5. And maybe that's a good thing, as the chances are the Series S owners are less likely to have VRR displays. So the closer it gets to a locked 60 FPS, the better. So on the Series S, Death Stranding, previously a PlayStation exclusive game, is running phenomenally well. Another positive story here for Series S and how games are running. All of that, I think, is culminating into a very exciting future right now for Xbox. I know there was a lot of doom and gloom surrounding it for a while. It seems like there always is, because they come out when they have momentum and they do something stupid that hurts them. And right now, I think they're in a very good spot if they can deliver on these games. It's going to be very important. I mean, this next couple of months, November and December, with Stalker 2, Indiana Jones, and Flight Simulator, but I think more specifically Indiana Jones and Stalker 2, very important that those games do good, because that will just push that momentum and push the confidence that people, I think, have been lacking from their first party games and whenever they're releasing a game into next year with games like South of Midnight and everything else they have on their slates for 2025. And we look at the roadmap. We have Avowed in February, South of Midnight 2025, which I think will be in the earlier part of the year, maybe just slightly after Avowed, Doom, The Dark Ages, and Fable, and then whatever else they decide to drop in there that we don't know about. They usually do. And then as well as more games from ABK coming to Xbox Game Pass, maybe some third-party games that are big that will be dropping into the service. Because we know one thing's for sure, whether you're on Xbox or PlayStation, it is multi-platform. I mean, that is where they are going, putting their games into more places and being able to try to reach as many people as possible because of the development costs of these games. In fact, we even have information in regards to because people always question it, right? When it comes to PlayStation specifically, they still think that they are doing their old same console exclusivity strategy. Clearly not the case when you have companies like Final Fantasy saying it did not work, or companies like Square Enix, I should say, saying it did not work, and then going and putting everything onto Xbox, and when going forward for their new games, will be releasing everything on Xbox. This year, which is from the Sony president's COO and CFO Hiroki Totoki, saying that PlayStation is currently reforming their gaming business with the following steps: changing the business structure, a new look at game development approach, portfolio concept to be introduced, cost cuts in different areas, and optimization in investment and sales marketing. So they are going to be changing the way that they operate. And I can guarantee that one of the ways that they're going to be going even harder on is putting their games into more platforms, into more places to make more money, because that's all that matters at the end of the day for these companies. It does not matter to them whether somebody on Xbox or Nintendo or PC doesn't get to play a game. If they are starting to look at their strategy right now as it's not bringing in enough money to support the development of their games, to support the continuous expansion of the gaming industry and the way that it is changing, they're going to change their strategy to make sure that their strategy gives them enough money going forward. So we'll see what happens. I mean, PlayStation putting their games into more places is a very big thing for a lot of people, especially the console fanboy warriors. And I think it's a smart thing, especially if they start putting things day one to, let's say, Steam. They will make so much more money. They will sell so many more copies if they release their games day and date on Steam, rather than waiting months or a year or whatever they do with currently with their first party titles. So lots of things happening right now as games are coming. It seems like the momentum is picking up, especially on the Xbox side. And we will see how the end of November and December pan out with the games that they do release, what the critics think, what people think about them, specifically with Indiana Jones, the one I am most interested in. But I will end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
We'll be right back.